Parenting a child. Rearing is the process of promoting and supporting the physical, emotional, social, financial, and intellectual development of a child from infancy to adulthood. Parenting refers to the aspects of raising a child aside from the biological relationship. The most common caretaker in parenting is the biological parent of the child in question, although others may be an older sibling, a grandparent, a legal guardian, aunt, uncle or other family member, or a family friend. Governments and society may have a role in child rearing as well. In many cases, orphaned or abandoned children receive parental care from non-parent blood relations. Others may be adopted, raised in foster care, or placed in an orphanage. Parenting skills vary, and a parent with good parenting skills may be referred to as a good parent. The English pediatrician and psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott described the concept of good enough parenting, in which a minimum of prerequisites for healthy child development are met. Winnicott wrote, "The good enough mother starts off with an almost complete adaptation to her infant's needs, and as time proceeds she adapts less and less completely, gradually, according to the infant's growing ability to deal with her failure." Views on the characteristics that make one a good or good enough parent vary from culture to culture. Additionally, research has supported the parental history both in terms of attachments of varying quality as well as parental psychopathology, particularly in the wake of adverse experiences, can strongly influence parental sensitivity and child outcomes. Factors that affect decisions. Social class, wealth, culture and income have a very strong impact on what methods of child rearing are used by parents. Cultural values play a major role in how a parent raises the child. However, parenting is always evolving as times change, cultural practices and social norms and traditions change. In psychology, the parental investment theory suggests that basic differences between males and females in parental investment have great adaptive significance, and lead to gender differences in mating propensities and preferences. A family's social class plays a large role in the opportunities and resources that will be made available to a child. Working-class children often grow up at a disadvantage with the schooling, communities, and parental attention made available to them compared to middle-class or upper-class upbringings. Also, lower working-class families do not get the kind of networking that the middle and upper classes do through helpful family members, friends, and community individuals and groups, as well as various professionals or experts. Styles. A parenting style is the overall emotional climate in the home. Developmental psychologist Diana Baumrind identified three main parenting styles in early child development: authoritative, authoritarian, and permissive. These parenting styles were later expanded to four, including an uninvolved style. These four styles of parenting involve combinations of acceptance and responsiveness on the one hand and demand and control on the other. Recent research has found that parenting style is significantly related to children's subsequent mental health and well-being. In particular, authoritative parenting is positively related to mental health and satisfaction with life, and authoritarian parenting is negatively related to these variables. Authoritative parenting, described by Baumrind as the just right style, and combines a medium-level demands on the child and a medium-level responsiveness from the parents. Authoritative parents rely on positive reinforcement and infrequent use of punishment. Parents are more aware of a child's feelings and capabilities and support the development of a child's autonomy within reasonable limits. There is a give-and-take atmosphere atmosphere involved in parent-child communication, and both control and support are balanced. Research shows that this style is more beneficial than the too hard authoritarian style or the too soft permissive style. An example of authoritative parenting would be the parents talking to the child about their emotions. Authoritarian parenting styles. Authoritarian parents are very rigid and strict. They place high demands on the child, but are not responsive to the child. Parents who practice authoritarian-style parenting have a rigid set of rules and expectations that are strictly enforced and require rigid obedience. When the rules are not followed, punishment is most often used to promote future obedience. There is usually no explanation of punishment except that the child is in trouble for breaking a rule. This parenting style is more strongly associated with corporal punishment, such as spanking. "Because I said so," is a typical response to a child's question of authority. This type of authority is used more often in working-class families than the middle class. In 1983, Diana Baumrind found that children raised in an authoritarian-style home were less cheerful, more moody, and more vulnerable to stress. In many cases, these children also demonstrated passive hostility. An example of authoritarian parenting would be the parents harshly punishing the children and disregarding the children's feelings and emotions. Permissive parenting. Permissive or indulgent parenting is more popular in middle-class families than in working-class families. In these family settings, a child's freedom and autonomy are highly valued, and parents tend to rely mostly on reasoning and explanation. Parents are undemanding, so there tends to be little, if any, punishment or explicit rules in this style of parenting. These parents say that the children are free from external constraints and tend to be highly responsive to whatever the child wants at the moment. Children of permissive parents are generally happy but sometimes show low levels of self-control and self-reliance because they lack structure at home. An example of permissive parenting would be the parents not disciplining the children. Uninvolved parenting. An uninvolved and neglectful parenting style is when parents are often emotionally absent and sometimes even physically absent. They have little or no expectation of the child and regularly have no communication. They are not responsive to a child's needs and do not demand anything of them in the behavioral expectations. If present, they may provide what the child needs for survival with little to no engagement. There is often a large gap between parents and children with this parenting style. Children with little or no communication with their own parents tended to be the victims of another child's deviant behavior and may be involved in some deviance themselves. Children of uninvolved parents suffer in social competence, academic performance, psychosocial development, and problem behavior. There is no single or definitive model of parenting, with authoritarian and permissive parenting on opposite sides of the spectrum. Most conventional and modern models of parenting fall somewhere in between. Parenting strategies as well as behaviors and ideals of what parents expect, whether communicated verbally and/or non-verbally, also play a significant role in a child's development. Practices. A parenting practice is a specific behavior that a parent uses in raising a child. For example, a common parent practice intended to promote academic success is reading books to the child. Storytelling is an important parenting practice for children in many indigenous American communities. Parenting practices reflect the cultural understanding of children. Parents in individualistic countries like Germany spend more time engaged in face-to-face interaction with babies and more time talking to the baby baby. About the baby. Parents in more communal cultures, such as West African cultures, spend more time talking to the baby about other people, and more time with the baby facing outwards, so that the baby sees what the mother sees. Children develop skills at different rates as a result of differences in these culturally driven parenting practices. Children in individualistic cultures learn to act independently and to recognize themselves in a mirror test at a younger age than children whose cultures promote communal values. However, these independent children learn self-regulation and cooperation later than children in communal cultures. In practice, this means that a child in an independent culture will happily play by herself, but a child in a communal culture is more likely to follow his mother's instruction to pick up his toys. Children that grow up in communities with a collaborative orientation to social interaction, such as some indigenous American communities, are also able to self-regulate and become very self-confident while remaining involved in the community. In Kenya, Africa, many male parents are not encouraged to be involved in the children's lives till they are about 12 years old. Skills. Parenting skills are the guiding forces of a good parent to lead a child into a healthy adult. They influence on development, maintenance, and cessation of children's negative and positive behaviors. Parenting takes a lot of skill and patience and is constant work in growth. The cognitive potential, social skills, and behavioral functioning a child acquires during the early years are fundamentally dependent on the quality of their interactions with their parents. Canadian Council on Learning says that children benefit most when the parents communicate truthfully about events or discussions that have happened, and when parents explain clearly to children what happened and how they were involved if they were. Stay consistent as children need structure. Parents who have regular routines benefits children behavioral pattern. Utilize resources available to them, reaching out into the community, take more interest in the child's educational and early development needs, and keep open communication and staying educated on what the child is seeing, learning and doing and how it is affecting them. Parenting skills are often assumed to be self-evident and naturally present in parents, but those who come from a negative, vulnerable environment might tend to pass on what they suffered onto the families, or for those who have inaccurate beliefs or poorer understanding of developmental milestones engage in only the way they know, which may result in problematic parenting. Parenting practices are at particular risk during marital transitions like separation, divorce and remarriage. If children fail to adequately adjust to these changes, they would be at risk of negative outcomes, for example increased rule-breaking behavior, problems with peer relationships and increased emotional difficulties. Virginia Satir emphasized these views by stating, parenting, the most complicated job in the world. Research classifies competence and skills required in parenting as follows: parent-child relationship skills, quality time spent, positive communications and delighting affection, encouraging desirable behavior, praise and encouragement, nonverbal attention, facilitating engaging activities, teaching skills and behaviors, being a good example, incidental teaching, benevolent communication of the skill with role-playing and other methods, communicating logical incentives and consequences, managing misbehavior, establishing assertive ground rules, limit setting, directed discussion, providing clear and calm instructions, communicate and enforce appropriate consequences for problem behavior, using restrictive means like quiet time and time out, anticipating and planning, advanced planning and preparation for readying the child for challenges, finding out, engaging in age-appropriate developmental activities, preparing token economy for self-management practice with guidance, holding follow-up discussions, identifying possible negative developmental trajectories, self-regulation skills, monitoring behaviors, setting developmentally appropriate goals, evaluating strengths and weaknesses and setting practice tasks for skills improvement, monitoring and preventing internalizing and externalizing behaviors, setting personal goals for positive change, mood and coping skills, discouraging unhelpful thoughts, stress and tension management, developing personal coping statements and plans for high-risk situations, developing mutual respect and consideration between members of the family, positive involvement, engaging in support and strength-oriented collaborative activities, rituals for enhancing interpersonal relationships, partner support skills, improving personal communication, giving and receiving constructive feedback and support, avoiding negative family interaction styles, supporting and finding hope in problems for adaptation, collaborative leading, navigate problem solving, promoting relationship happiness and cordiality. Consistency is considered as the backbone of positive parenting skills and overprotection as the weakness. The values parents around the world want what they believe is best for the children. However, parents in different cultures have different ideas of what is best. For example, parents in a hunter-gatherer society are surviving through subsistence agriculture are likely to promote practical survival skills from a young age. Many such cultures begin teaching babies to use sharp tools, including knives, before the first birthdays. This seen in communities where children have a considerate amount of autonomy at a younger age and are given the opportunity to become skilled in tasks that are sometimes classified as adult work by other cultures. In some indigenous American communities, child work provides children the opportunity to learn cultural values of collaborative participation and prosocial behavior through observation and participation alongside adults. American parents strongly value intellectual ability, especially in a narrow, book-learning sense. Italian parents value social and emotional abilities and having an even temperament. Spanish parents want the children to be sociable. Swedish parents value security and happiness. Dutch parents value independence, long attention spans, and predictable schedules. The Kipsigis people of Kenya value children who are not only smart, but who employ that intelligence in a responsible and helpful way, which they call ang-om. Many indigenous American communities value respect, participation in the community, and non-interference. The practice of non-interference is an important value in Cherokee culture. It requires that one respects the autonomy of others in the community by not interfering in the decision-making by giving unsolicited advice. Differences in values cause parents to interpret different actions in different ways. Asking questions is seen by many European American parents as a sign that the child is smart. Italian parents, who value social and emotional competence, believe that asking questions is a sign that the child has good interpersonal skills. Dutch parents, who value independence, view asking questions negatively as a sign that the child is not independent. Indigenous American parents often try to encourage curiosity in the children. Many use a permissive parenting style that enables the child to explore and learn through observation of the world around it. cultural tools. Differences in values can also cause parents to employ different tools to promote the values. Many European American parents expect specially purchased educational toys to improve their children's intelligence. Some Spanish parents promote social skills by taking the children out for daily walks around the neighborhood. In indigenous American cultures, it is common for parents in many indigenous American communities to use different tools in parenting, such as storytelling, like myths, consejos, educational teasing, nonverbal communication, and observational learning to teach the children important values and life lessons. Storytelling is a way for indigenous American children to learn about their identity, community, and cultural history. Indigenous myths and folklore often personify animals and objects, reaffirming the belief that everything possesses soul and must be respected. These stories help preserve language and are used to reflect certain values or cultural histories. Consejos are a narrative form of advice-giving that provides the recipient with maximum autonomy in the situation as a result of their indirect teaching style. Rather than directly informing the child what they should do, the parent instead might tell a story of a similar situation or scenario. The character in the story is used to help the child see what the implications of the decision may be, without directly making the decision for them. This teaches the child to be decisive and independent, while still providing some guidance. The playful form of teasing is a parenting method used in some indigenous American communities to keep children out of danger and guide their behavior. This form of teasing utilizes stories, fabrications, or empty threats to guide children in making safe, intelligent decisions. It can teach children values by establishing expectations and encouraging the child to meet them via playful jokes and/or idle threats. For example, a parent may tell a child that there is a monster that jumps on children's backs if they walk alone at night. This explanation can help keep the child safe because instilling that alarm creates greater awareness and lessens the likelihood that they will wander alone into trouble. In Navajo families, a child's development is partly focused on the importance of respect for all things as part of the child's moral and human development. Respect, in this sense, is an emphasis of recognizing the significance of an understanding for one's relationship with other things and people in the world. Nonverbal communication is much of the way that children learn about such respect from parents and other family members. For example, in a Navajo parenting tool using nonverbal communication, children are initiated at an early age into the practice of an early morning run through any weather condition. This form of guidance fosters respect, not only for the child's family members but also to the community as a whole. On this run, the community uses humor and laughter with each other, without directly including the child, who may not wish to get up early and run, to promote the child's motivation to participate and become an active member of the community. To modify children's behavior in a non-verbal manner, parents also promote inclusion in the morning runs by placing the child in the snow and having them stay longer if they protest. This is done within a context of warmth, laughter, and community to help incorporate the child into the practice. A tool parents use in indigenous American cultures is to incorporate children into everyday life, including adult activities, to pass on the parent's knowledge by allowing the child to learn through observation. This practice is known as LOPI, learning by observing and pitching in, where children are integrated into all types of mature daily activities and encouraged to observe and contribute in the community. This inclusion as a parenting tool promotes both community participation and learning. In some Mayan communities, young girls are not permitted around the hearth for an extended period of time since scorn is sacred. Despite this being an exception to the more common indigenous American practice of integrating children children into all adult activities, including cooking. It is a strong example of observational learning. These men and girls can only see the mothers making tortillas in small bits at a time. They will then go and practice the movements the mother used on other objects, such as the example of kneading thin pieces of plastic like a tortilla. For this practice, when a girl comes of age, she is able to sit down and make tortillas without any explicit verbal instruction as a result of her observational learning. In Judaism and Jewish culture, Judaism has an extensive tradition of parenting with an emphasis on education.